Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, and this is your Arkansas Daily Briefing. We're going to start with a legal battle over Arkansas's controversial book law. The state of Arkansas is asking the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals to reinstate two key parts of Act 372. That is a law that passed in 2023 that targets what it calls inappropriate materials in libraries and bookstores. Now, last December, U.S. District Judge Timothy Brooks up in Fayetteville struck down Section 1, the obscenity provision, and Section 5, the policy provision, calling them vague and unconstitutional. He issued a summary judgment siding with the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs include the Fayetteville and Eureka Springs Libraries, Central Arkansas Library System, and the ACLU of Arkansas. Now, Attorney General Tim Griffin is saying that Brooks's decision went too far. Griffin is arguing that the judge's ruling was overbroad and that the provisions are clear, constitutional, and necessary to protect minors in Arkansas. The state says there is no First Amendment right to provide obscene materials to children. So what's at stake? Well, Section 1, which is struck down, would make it a crime to knowingly furnish material deemed obscene for minors. And Section 5 would require public libraries to follow a written policy and specific procedures when citizens challenge a book. Now, those are the two sections, of course, that were struck down. And they argue that library curation decisions are government speech, which means they fall outside the First Amendment protection anyway. So, what happens next? Well, if the appeals court doesn't reverse the lower court ruling outright, the state wants the case sent back to Judge Brooks to narrow the decision and not to throw out the provisions altogether. Of course, Act 372 was signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders last March, and for now, those two sections remain blocked by Judge Brooks's court injunction. Also in legal battles, there's movement, maybe, in one of the state's most tangled legal battles. The Arkansas Board of Corrections voted Monday to begin settlement talks with Attorney General Tim Griffin in hopes of resolving the lawsuit over how the board hired its attorney and how it handled open records. So backing up, this stems from when the board hired that attorney to sue Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. That triggered a lawsuit against the board filed by Attorney General Griffin, who claimed the board violated the Freedom of Information Act by hiring that lawyer behind closed doors and what he said was dodging FOIA requests. Griffin isn't backing down. In his statement Monday, he called the lawyer the board's illegally hired attorney, and he says the issues are significant enough that they belong before the Arkansas Supreme Court, not in some backroom settlement deal. He said, "Neither I nor my client have any interest in settling the cases." But one reason the board is acting with urgency is they owe that lawyer at least $230,000 in legal fees, and a state audit found that it doesn't actually have the authority to pay him. The bigger picture is this is a legal mess that is tied to a deeper constitutional fight over who controls the state's prison system. Two laws passed in 2023 shifted authority from the Board of Corrections to the governor's office, giving the governor control over the Department of Corrections secretary and key divisions. That move is now also tied up in court. The Arkansas Supreme Court recently upheld a preliminary injunction blocking those laws from taking effect, but they didn't rule on their constitutionality. What happens next? Well, no settlement terms were laid out on Monday, and any final deal would have to be voted on in an open public meeting, according to board members. Now over to an update on convicted killer Grant Hardin, who you probably remember, the devil in the Ozarks who escaped from prison last month. That's the former Gateway police chief and convicted killer, Grant Hardin. He pleaded not guilty on Tuesday to charges that he escaped from prison last month, a disappearance that triggered a 2-week manhunt through north central Arkansas. Hardin, who's 56, entered the plea in Izard County Circuit Court, where Judge Tim Weaver set a trial for the week of November 5th. Hardin is now being held in the Varner Supermax unit in Lincoln County. The charge stems from May 25th, when Hardin allegedly walked out of the North Central unit in Calico Rock. Authorities didn't notice right away, and by the time they did, he was long gone. He was found 12 days later, hiding in dense woods near Moccasin Creek, about 2 miles from the prison. The Arkansas Department of Corrections is investigating how he got out in the first place. At a June 10th board meeting, Director Dexter Payne said the obvious: somebody didn't do their job. Hardin is currently serving a 50-year sentence for 2 separate cases, one a murder and another a rape. He has been declared indigent and a public defender has been appointed. A federal charge of unlawful flight was dismissed earlier this week, and his escape trial is set for the fall. So let's talk about those Hogs. It is do or die tonight in Omaha for the Arkansas Razorbacks. After beating Murray State on Monday, the Hogs face UCLA tonight in a high-stakes elimination game in the College World Series. The winner moves on to face LSU tomorrow in the bracket final. The Bruins just dropped their first game of the tournament, a 9-5 loss to LSU, in a weather-delayed matchup that wrapped up earlier on Tuesday. Tonight marks the first meeting between Arkansas and UCLA since 1999, when the Bruins swept a midweek series in Fayetteville. But we got to talk about that win over Murray State. Arkansas pitcher Gage Wood threw a no-hitter. It's only the third no-hitter in College World Series history. It was masterclass on the mound. Wood dominated from the first pitch, keeping the Racers hitless through all 9 innings and stamping his name into Razorback and NCAA baseball history books. But we got to watch out for the weather tonight. There's a 70% chance of storms tonight in Omaha, and the game can't begin until after Oregon State versus Louisville, which is now delayed and set to begin at 1:43, which has already been pushed back due to the LSU game finishing just after 12:30. Okay, we have even more lawsuit news. A Little Rock consulting firm has filed a lawsuit against the Arkansas Black Mayors Association, claiming that it was not paid for work tied to a massive federal flood prevention grant. The suit, filed in Pulaski County Circuit Court, says the association breached 2 separate contracts and failed to pay more than $51,000 in invoices dating back to November of 2022. The company, called Capacity Building Consulting and Analysis, also known as CBCNA, said it was hired to help secure federal money through the USDA's Watershed Program and Flood Prevention Program. The money was meant to fund projects to reduce flooding in low-income communities across eastern and southeastern Arkansas. The consultants say they not only helped the Mayors Association win the funding, which totaled more than $87 million, but also signed a follow-up agreement to manage and implement those projects. The lawsuit claims that after the funding, that $87 million, was awarded, the association stalled on payments, citing internal turmoil, and later tried to revise the agreement with significantly different terms. When the company pushed back, the Mayors Association terminated the relationship in early 2023 and told the firm to submit any unpaid invoices to its executive director. The company, CBCNA, is now suing for compensatory damages, legal fees, and interest, saying it upheld its end of both contracts and has not been paid since August of 2022. In political news, there are 2 announcements that have added names and movement to the 2026 Arkansas House of Representative races. Beth Ann Rankin Baker of Magnolia has officially entered the race for House District 99. The seat is currently held by Representative Lane Jean, who is term limited and cannot run again. Baker is a former policy advisor and director of state federal affairs under Governor Mike Huckabee. She was also Miss Arkansas of 1994 and launched a long career in education, policy, and consulting. She previously ran for Congress in 2010 and 2012 and now works as a consultant and teacher. Now, Miss Rankin Baker has a long list of endorsements and supporters, including Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Attorney General Tim Griffin, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, Congressman Bruce Westerman, State Senator Steve Kraut, and even Representative Jean himself. She says that her campaign will focus on issues important to Southwest Arkansas, like economic development, education, natural resources, tourism, and STEAM. House District 99 includes parts of Miller, Lafayette, and Columbia counties. In a separate announcement on Friday, Representative Fran Cavanaugh of Walnut Ridge has said she will not seek re-election in 2026. Representative Cavanaugh has served in the Arkansas House since 2017 and currently chairs the powerful Revenue and Taxation Committee. Believe me, Representative Cavanaugh is a formidable force over in the House. She cited business pressures and the loss of a key employee at her family's automotive group as reasons for stepping away from politics after this term. Now, she's already thrown her support behind Josh Longmire. He is a Craighead County Justice of the Peace who announced his candidacy for the District 30 seat. Longmire has served on the Quorum Court for over a decade and works in the private sector as a national sales manager. He's running on a conservative platform that includes government accountability, support for agriculture, and tax reform. And finally, over to this outdoor education program that I absolutely love. So the state is now accepting applications for its new outdoor education pilot program, and it's looking for 30 schools to lead the way. So if you're a school administrator or if you're interested in your school applying, this is your shot to get in on the ground floor of a statewide initiative that could change how Arkansas teaches science, conservation, and outdoor skills. And this program is not just about taking kids on nature walks. The curriculum is designed to integrate outdoor learning directly into the school day, into science, math, social studies, language arts, PE, art, you name it. It's not an extra class. It's actually a full curriculum shift designed to get kids outside without piling more work onto the teachers. Now, 30 schools will be selected for the first year. If the pilot is successful, it'll expand across the state. The state wants participation from a wide geographic and demographic range: rural, urban, small, and large campuses. So any district with interest is encouraged to apply. That application and letter of intent should go through the Game and Fish Commission. If you want more information, you can email Mary Beth Hatch at marybeth.hatch.agfc.ar.gov. All right, that's it for your Arkansas Daily Briefing today. Go Hogs, and we'll see you tomorrow.